Here's 3 price scenarios that I'm taking a look at when it comes to Casper in an event where maybe, let's say, there is a fully fledged type of altcoin season. Even though nothing I say is financial advice, the first scenario I want to take a look at is the idea of maybe 20 cents. Now, that's a 20x from here, and market cap, considering current circulating supply at that point, would be nearly $2.7 billion. Now, why wouldn't this surprise me? It's because I am a fan of Casper's fundamentals, and let me explain why. Casper is a layer 1 blockchain, and when I say this, sometimes people like to say, but there's many layer 1 blockchains out there, who cares? Well, I think this one is pretty interesting and pretty unique because not only is Casper highly scalable, but then I think the gas fees are not really such a concern for me, whereas when I take a look at something like Ethereum, gas fees, I don't really like that when it comes to Ethereum. Also, on top of that, arguable scalability issues. These are things that I don't think necessarily we do see when it comes to Casper. Now, I get it. The main argument that people may have is that, but Ethereum's more popular. Totally understand that. But I think fundamentally, I'm a bigger fan of Casper over Ethereum, even though I am a big fan of the Ethereum ETF. I'm not necessarily such a fan of the fundamentals of Ethereum just as a layer 1 blockchain. Also, the second argument that people may have is that, but there are Ethereum layer 2s out there. Totally aware of that. And let me explain this real quick, right? Basically, Ethereum layer 2s, generally speaking, the way you take a look at it, they kind of allow Ethereum to be enjoyed, so to speak, while at the same time not necessarily having to deal with the drawbacks, like for instance, like I mentioned before. So again, an Ethereum layer 2, it does serve its purpose, and there are many famous Ethereum layer 2s out there, but then at the same time, the way you take a look at it is that, again, just as a layer 1 blockchain, if we kind of remove, the layer 2 aspect and whatnot, we just take a look at Casper as a layer 1 blockchain compared to Ethereum, I will have to say that I'm a bigger fan of Casper, but this is just my mindset. And also on top of that, I think Casper is doing some fun things a little bit. And this actually kind of brings me to my next point, and that's something called Casper Fun. It gives the ability to launch or create a token on Casper. Supposedly, it can be done in just a matter of minutes in some cases, and also on top of that, there's no coding required. So I think that's pretty cool. And when people like to say, who cares about that? Well, again, take a look at, for instance, these Solana meme coins. Take a look at how well they have done, right? Take a look at, for instance, Bonk, Book a Meme, historically speaking. Take a look at Dog with Hat. So really, when I take a look at something like, being able to maybe launch the idea, let's say, of meme coins or whatever the case may be, it could even be something that's related to decentralized finance or blockchain gaming or whatever. I think it could be a step in the right direction when it comes to something like Casper in terms of gaining the popularity because, of course, people like projects on Solana, they like projects on, for instance, Avalanche, Ethereum, and I think maybe, hopefully moving forward, it's about time Casper kind of has that recognition too. But only time will tell, but overall, I'm a big fan of Casper because even though it hasn't necessarily popped off yet in a sense, I'm still a fan of it because why would I just automatically be a fan of a project after it has, quote unquote, kind of already done its thing, right? I just kind of want to be there before things kind of take off. Now, granted, I've been holding Casper ever since 2021, so can you imagine that? It's been multiple years at this point, but I'm staying patient. Now, again, I'm not telling you to do anything, but I waited quite a while, so I'm just holding, and that's it. Now, granted, I don't only just hold Casper, but I've been waiting too long for me just to kind of give up, so I don't want to do that, but again, this is just what I'm doing. I'm not telling anyone to do, the same thing or whatever. I'm just saying this is just my perspective. However, when I kind of consider all that, kind of the fundamentals of Casper, kind of the community, which I think is very passionate, I think they're very driven. Also, on top of that, I take a look at, Casper's exchange listings isn't that bad. When I take a look at just kind of, the whole vibe, so to speak, the idea of maybe 20 cents wouldn't surprise me in a moment in time when, let's say, there is a fully fledged type of altcoin season. Now, the second scenario I want to take a look at is 23 cents. A 23x from here and market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be around $3 billion. I mean, we've seen Dogecoin reach over $80 billion in market cap years ago back in 2021, so over 20 times more than this. And I'm not saying this is going to be more popular than that, but that was years ago. And imagine what Dogecoin could maybe do this time around if there's a fully fledged type of altcoin season. So achieving maybe a glimpse of what Dogecoin achieved years ago, over 20 times less the market cap, again, that it achieved back then, right? that wouldn't really surprise me. However, this is just my mentality. Now, the final price scenario I want to take a look at is 25 cents. 25x from here, and market cap, considering current circulating supply, would be around $3.3 billion. Why wouldn't this surprise me? It's because right now, there's over 600 million crypto owners, supposedly more than ever before in history. Back in the peak of the 2021 bull run, around 300 million crypto owners, and still the altcoin season back then looked like that. Now, granted, there are more projects now, in my opinion, and also there seems to be more competition. But then just take a look at the increased amount of, crypto owners. Not to mention, we take a look at Casper still has a pretty decently sized market cap. It's not like it just kind of, went down to like a $10 million market cap or something like that. It's still holding up pretty okay in the grand scheme of things. Like, it's not necessarily a small project. So it still kind of has that recognition, still has quite a good amount of holders. So if, let's say, we do see a fully fledged type of altcoin season, if this, let's say, had some attention, it wouldn't surprise me. Now, I do not know the future. However, I can at least take a look at the past. Historically speaking, altcoins usually peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event as a worst case scenario. And 18 months from the last Bitcoin halving event, which happened in April of 2024, is actually October this year. Now, is that a guaranteed timeline, so to speak? I don't think so, because who knows? We're not in October yet, and each cycle is going to be different. So whether it may be November, December, or let's say January, February, or let's say just like anywhere between that Q1 of next year type of time frame, whatever the case is, that's beyond my control. So the only thing I can do is stay patient, and that's what I'm going to do. Just holding, waiting, that's it. Again, I've been holding Casper ever since 2021, so I'm just going to still continue what I've been doing, dollar cost averaging, holding, and just waiting. That's it. I get it. Ever since that time, a lot of projects have outperformed this, right? But then, to me, you know what? I'm still holding, but again, I don't only just hold Casper, but it is one of the pieces in my portfolio. However, again, I'm not telling you to do anything, but personally, I am staying patient when it comes to Casper, even though only time will tell. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Greatly appreciated. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.